John, lesson 65, chapter 15, verses 1 through 3. I am the vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Of the many pictures of the relationship between God and his people, the vine and the branches picture emphasizes complete dependence and need for constant connection to God. The branch depends on the vine even more than sheep depend on the shepherd or the child depends on the father. This is the most basic descriptive dependence imaginable. In the Old Testament, use of the vine as a picture of Israel, God the Father was also presented as the one who cultivated and managed the vine. God fulfills this role also for the believer today in New Testament times. The believer has relationship with both the Father and the Son, with both the vine itself and the vine dresser. The branches that are taken away were never probably adding to the vine or adding into the vine. This is demonstrated by the fact that they did not bear any fruit. There is an alternative understanding of this passage that bears some consideration as well. A scholar named James Montgomery Boyce, among others, believes that the ancient Greek verb airo, translated takes away, is more accurately translated to lift up. The idea is that the Father lifts up the unproductive vines off of the ground, which was a common ancient practice when caring for a vineyard. Those caring for ancient grapevines made sure to lift them up off the ground that they might not get uh, rot, and they would be more productive, bear more fruit. So, a little further look, we see the word prunes is the same word translated cleanse in other places. And the same word could apply to either pruning or cleansing in ancient Greek. So there are contrasting translations from the Greek into English that could lend itself to different ways of understanding this passage. In the second way that I've just described, the vine dresser cleans up the fruit bearing vine so it will bear more fruit. The work of pruning or cleansing had already begun in the 11 disciples Jesus spoke to. They had heard and received much of his teaching and were in some sense already clean because of Christ's word. The second view is that the cast out branches were ones who only appeared to be disciples and who never really abided in Jesus and therefore would go to hell, like, for instance, Judas. There's a third view that sees the cast out branches as fruitless disciples who live wasted lives that are in effect burnt up. And this passage doesn't refer to their eternal destiny, uh, at all. So, as far as me, that is Max, I personally believe that the true believers persevere under the trials of life and do not lose their salvation. The churches, however, have a mix of both true believers and those who come for the wrong reasons to church. Standing in a garage doesn't make you a car, after all. Jesus connected abiding to the idea of faithfulness to his words, as previously mentioned in John chapter 14. Also, Jesus connected abiding to the idea of answered prayer, as and in John chapter 14 as well. It mentioned that prayer comes spontaneously from those who abide in Jesus. It becomes safe for God to say to the sanctified soul, ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. Problem is that we ask for things that are not in God's will for us to have, and we aren't in the right relationship with Him. He says no to those types of requests. The purpose of fruit bearing is to bring glory to God, not to uh, the disciple. A branch that bears much fruit brings honor to the one who cares for the vine, and a design or a disciple who bears much fruit is in a spiritual sense, brings honor to God. We'll stop right there for this lesson.